up Island Scalding Tarn. And we have a Vendilion Click for Darin, which is immediately countered by an Oblivion Ring on the top of Alex's library.
How about Snapcaster Mage? Is that one okay?
Snapcaster Mage comes down. Now, Oblivion Ring does not counter that, so Alex is going to have to do something different. He's going to Brainstorm here. Draws 3, he's going to put back 2, and I imagine there's going to be a 2 on top. It is another copy of Counterbalance, so that Snapcaster goes away. And Darin, unable to get through that soft lock so far.
Doesn't feel so soft, does it?
No. And Snapcaster comes in, takes a little bite. Alex now at 15.
Yeah, now Darin knows it's over.
Yeah.
At this point,
Just
he's
not,
like, I'm not gonna be able to get
working.
anything through. My hand is, I have no action in my hand. He had like 2 Force Wolves and Disrupt in his hand, and didn't have a top to manipulate his draw. So Darin scoops it up. He saves everybody the whole time.
Yeah. So both of these guys fighting for a slot in the finals versus Joe Bass and his Miracle Blade deck, which is an amalgamation of both of these decks. So you wonder, like, is that an advantage or a disadvantage? You think, like, okay, did he water down one of the strategies? You know what I mean? Like, again, in this matchup, do you say, like, all right, I'm half Miracle, half Blade. You know, does that make me a little weaker or a little stronger?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, you know, you have one player playing, you know, dedicated Miracles deck. You have one player playing a dedicated Stoneblade deck, and then you have one player, Joe Bass in the finals, playing a mixture of the two. So who is right? Is the question. And I think we're gonna find out, obviously.
Yeah. My pick is Alex. I like the straight up Miracles.
I think I kind of feel the same way about it, honestly. Just it's more straightforward. It seems like it's more clean cut to me. The draws don't seem as erratic because the deck is trying to do the same thing every time.
Yeah, and you know it's interesting because all these decks are obviously very similar, and in this small field of 3 decks, the Stoneblade and the Miracle Blade are kind of just that Stoneforge Mystic into Batterskull combination is kind of it's much more suited to facing aggressive decks. I mean, of course, it's attacking for force just fine against anybody, but
Sure.
I feel like that combination of cards is well suited against. We saw how well it did against the Merfolk deck in the just last match we just watched, and so I just think that the Miracles deck on its own, of course, is pretty well set up against aggro as well, but I wonder if it just has a better main deck plan against other control strategies.
Yeah, it's really
close.
It is close. It is really close, honestly.
So going to game 3. Looking at the boards, we saw them on the screen briefly. Those were not the correct boards.
We have
so
the correct ones in front of us, luckily.
we have them, yeah. So here's Darin. Let's switch. What does Darin have?
Darin has Guys of Saint Draft.
He does.
Times 3, which is a difficult card for Alex to be able to beat. Even though he does have Terminus, his spot removal spells of Path Exile, Source of Plowshares will not take care of it. Does trade with Snapcaster Mage, though, which Alex only has 1 copy of in his main deck. Other cards to consider: 2 Disenchants to hopefully break up a Counterbalance. Crucible Worlds to be able to make sure he hits all of his land drops. And other than that, Surgical Extraction I don't love. Spell Pierce is okay. It's very situation dependent. It is good at taking care of a Jace, though. So he does have some options, as he is taking a mulligan down to 6 right now.
On Alex's side, he's got an additional counterbalance. I imagine that comes in. We saw how good that lock is. More counter spells. So yeah, an additional counterbalance, an additional counterspell, and Oblivion Ring does a nice job of dealing with Batterskulls, Jace the Mind Sculptor. Also has 3 copies of Red Elemental Blast. Those are definitely coming in. This is exactly the matchup they're for. This kind of matchup. 1 extra Vendilion Click going to come in. Possibly the 4th Terminus, as you mentioned, Geist of Saint Draft, available to Darin, and Alex knows it because both of these players have seen the other's list. He has a Disenchant in there, great at taking out a Batterskull, especially if its opponent does not have 3 mana to protect the Batterskull. And so those will all come in, and we're underway.
We are underway. You see a Sensitive Mining Top from Alex. You see a Tundra joined by, assuming a second land coming, hoping a second land coming, a Polluted Delta. for Darin. And we'll see a Brainstorm here, main phase. Card typically people don't fight over in this particular matchup. They try to fight over the more important spells. You see a Disrupt, another Fetch Land, and a Mystery card there drawn for Darin as he's going to set up his library the way he wants it for the next couple of turns.
Alex also has access to a Pithing Needle, which can name Stoneforge Mystic or Batterskull if he decides to. But that may be one of those ones where maybe you don't want it. Certainly don't want to name Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, top for Alex. Pre-draw step. Plays a Plains, plays a second top. Passes back. Tapped out. 2 tops. Darin finds a second Tundra.
Getting everything set up here. 2 tops, pretty big deal there. I mean, he's got the manipulation that he needs. If he finds a counterbalance, things are going to get pretty tough for Darin here pretty quickly. You know, maybe if he's able to slip a Geist of Saint Traft underneath the wall defenses that Alex is trying to set up, change things quite a bit here as we see Vicious Factory and just passes the turn back.
End step. Vendilion Click from Darin Minard. What do you have to say about that, Alex? Do you have a response? Do you want to fight over the trio of fairies?
We're going to see a Brainstorm to start.
Finds a Red Blast. Not very good when you can't cast it.
So let's see how he's going to want to set up these next couple of turns here with Brainstorm. Also gets to dig a card deep with top here because he only gets to put 2 cards back. So the third card down, we don't know, and neither does Alex here for Sensei's Defining Top.
I think that's an Entreat the Angels in his hand.
And now he's going to look at that third card.
So, if I'm Darin, or I wonder actually if I'm not if I'm Darin, I'm wondering as me.
Sure, as Joey Pasco.
If Darin is just setting this up to force through a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
And that's very likely, as we see 2 Jaces, 2 more tops and Entreat the Angels. Wow.
Top 4 in the top 4. I'm sorry, 4 tops in the top 4. The 4 tops. Isn't that a... Yeah. So Jace the Mind Sculptor, number 1, goes to the bottom after the Vendilion Click resolves, leaving Alex with double top, Jace, and Entreat the Angels. Not an incredible hand, although Jace the Mind Sculptor not too shabby.
You see the 4th land there. You also see a Disenchant here from from Darin, which is a little awkward right now.
Yeah.
4 tops, but you see a 4th land, a Tundra. You're wondering if he has a Jace to capitalize on the situation. It doesn't look like he does right now. I think he would have windmilled that bad boy down if he did.
Yeah, I didn't see any sign of it in his hand.
You also see a Wasteland over there as well. A Wasteland that can't take care of any lands that Alex has in play. So you wonder exactly what the game plan is this turn. Maybe he was supposed to attack with the Factory. We're not quite sure exactly all the contents of his hand, but we're going to see a Brainstorm here. And one thing I will say, and Darin's play has been pretty tight all weekend, and if you are going to Brainstorm this turn, you've decided that you're going to do that. I like brainstorming before the attack. Have all the information.
Sure.
So that you know exactly what you're going to do for this turn. Because now if he didn't brainstorm very well, then he missed the opportunity to get 2 points of damage to the Mirish's Factory. And those 2 points of damage, especially in this matchup, could wind up mattering.
Very good points.
What we're going to see here is a Tundra. It looks like we're going to see a Geist Trap, and we're going to see a Stoneforge Mystic.
Stoneforge Mystic off of the Brainstorm.
Okay.
Appears to have resolved, and Darin's going to searching for some tools. He finds
Sword of Feast and
Sword
Famine.
of Feast and Famine. I believe that's out of the board, or is that actually something he main decks?
Let me check here. It is a main deck card for him. He has
Wow.
2 targets for his first 4 Stoneforge Mystic. One Sword of Feast and Famine that we see, 1 Batterskull of course that we're used to, and he has 1 Umezawa's Jit in the sideboard.
Sword of Peace and Famine, very, very effective against the Miracle deck. I didn't actually catch that.
So let's take a look here. As Alex sets things up with his top, he's going to draw his card. Wondering if he does have the 4th land for Jace, and even if he wants to play Jace this turn. Jace this turn, I mean, it is still Jace the Mind Sculptor, but how effective will it be this turn?
Yeah, the Flooded Strand comes down. Not sure you want to... Even if you resolve Jace, like, you're going to bounce that Stonecliff Mystic? You're going to bounce that Vendilion Click? Not really effective, like you mentioned. You could Fate Seal, and then... You know, that doesn't seem very appealing. So, Vendilion Click, though, that's something. I believe it has resolved. There, or at least it appeared like it was going
Yeah, it
to.
looks like it's resolved. And
Yeah.
now and Alex is deciding who's he going to target with it.
Yeah.
Myself to get rid of one of these tops, presumably.
Yeah,
Or
but
you.
he goes with Darin, and he sees Geist, Vendilion Click, Sword of Feast and Famine, as we knew was there, and a Disenchant. So, imagine Alex going to leave him with the Disenchant. Probably take the sword. What do you think? Or do you take the Geist? You could really even argue taking the Click, but I imagine it's between the sword and the Geist.
Yeah, there are 3 very good choices here on what Alex can take with the Vendilion Click trigger. The worst choice, of course, being Disenchant. But he does get rid of the sword, and he's going to draw a card off of the Click's ability. He's going to draw himself into something that he shuffled very quickly. It is a Disrupt.
Yeah, it was either Disruptor Force. Very RNG looking art.
And
Yes,
now
it
we're
is
going
Disrupt.
to see a Geist Sustaining Trap being drawn for the turn. And now he's going to cast it and get in for 1.
Squire on the attack. Alex untaps, draws for the turn.
And for those of you guys at home who are in his old school, there's Joey and I, and we're going to bring Disrupt on the screen for you. It's maybe if we can,
things named disrupting.
yeah, fair.
That's
If
true.
we can find one, we're going to bring one up for you. And there you are.
Yeah, different artwork, but
Yeah, counter target instant or sorcery unless its controller pays 1 and of course draw a card. So it can be a blowout at times. There is only 1 in Darin's deck list for the potential blowout, as we're going to see a Brainstorm, and we are going to see said card. It's like I can predict the future, Joey.
yeah. Disrupt, also printed in Weatherlight. That's the version that Darin is using. The version we showed you on screen was the Invasion block version. Actually, Invasion itself.
And the reason you see the Disrupt this turn on this Brainstorm, yes, he can pay for the Brainstorm, but it forces him to sacrifice his fetch land, which means that he can't do the, classic Brainstorm fetch land interaction.
Sure.
So he can get Alex a little bit Brainstorm locked, as it were, and still have to be stuck with those 2 cards he puts back. Disrupt also does just draw a card. It does
Yeah.
cantrip.
Kind of like a cantripping Force Spike that only hits instants and sorceries. That's kind of the way to describe it. But then again, a lot of people don't know what Force Spike does.
Yeah. So we do see Brainstorm resolve here. Brainstorm on top of the Snapcaster Mage, just to represent that it will be getting exiled after this does resolve.
Force Spike is a syncopate for 1 that only costs 1 mana and does not exile the card. Trying to put it in standard terms. Alex tanking here. Has decided on his 2. Brainstorm goes to the yard after resolving. Oh, I'm sorry, exiled after resolving because that was a snapcasted, flashbacked Brainstorm.
And one of the reasons for the main phase Snapcaster Mage there, obviously brainstorming, getting information is quite good, but you also want to make sure that Snapcaster Mage resolves before counterspell so that he can actually trade with Geisting Draft. So there are definitely some reasons for both of the actions here, as we're going to see what looks like Enrich's Factory getting fired up. And away we go. Trigger for the Geist. Hopefully it doesn't miss the mandatory, as that would be quite awkward at this point.
Yeah, it reaches for the Angel just in time, I think.
There's
Alex
a bit
may
of
be
a-
making an
there's a
argument
bit of
for
a
the fact
shoulder
that he's
shrug
like,
here that
I
it was a-
declared blockers.
was
you
a
didn't have
little
the
late.
Angel. Yeah. I mean, it's it's iffy. These new triggers. I mean, Alex.
All right.
I think Alex has a reasonable
Well,
argument for it, but I also feel like so does Darin. Like it was kind of like at the same time. There's the
Yeah.
angel, and he's gonna get it.
okay.
Um, Snapcaster, snap blocks the Geist.
We're gonna
Geist goes
see
away.
a 7 damage as it should be.
Sure. Misty Rainforest. Kraken on Darin's side.
I think we're gonna see another Geist here.
We know he had one and then drew one, I think,
Yep.
right after he was clicked.
And Darin also has a Jace the Mind Sculptor in the hand that he drew for this turn. Thought it was something that he may cast this turn, but he's actually just going to keep the pressure on Alex. And, he's already dealt with one Geist, but do you have an answer for another one? That's the question.
Yeah, with Alex at 8 life, the window is kind of, it seems partially open at this point. Like he's just gonna put it on Alex to have to find an answer.
Alright.
Well, and entreat the angels
That
off the top.
is an answer, as we see Entreat the Angels for 2.
Yeah, one land there left open. Arid Mesa, uncracked.
It makes you wonder, would you there, with Entreat on the stack, sack the Arid Mesa, go down to 7 to get a 3rd Angel, or are you okay without doing that?
Kind of depends on what's in my hand, and I think for him he had Red Blast and he wanted to force it through in case there was going to be a Force of Will or some sort of counterspell there.
Sure.
He's going to have Red Blast available for it.
Okay.
Rather have 2 angels than none. So
Okay. Reasonable.
I like that play. Plays a Scalding Tarn. Passes back with 2 fetch lands up.
See, Darin attacking just got a lot more difficult.
Now he could. He could Jace, bounce an angel, attack anyway. He's going to likely lose his Geist, but he gets in for another 5 potentially. I don't know if that's enough. I'm just trying to think out loud what his plays could be. Jace, bounce an angel. I don't know what's in his hand. We know he has Sword of Feast and Famine. I think he's redrawn it.
I believe that's the case.
Pretty sure he has it. I don't know what the other card is.
You see Alex here taking the time to do the math, saying, do I really need to take care? There's just the Mind Sculptor. I can Red Blast it. So we're going to see him draw a card since he's Divining Top. Almost like he knows what's there. He's decided, alright, it might be time to sack this Arid Mesa for a mountain to attempt to Red Elemental blast this Jace. Jace almost too hard not to counter, honestly.
Finds a mountain island.
There's a Red Blast.
He's going to go ahead and Red Blast the Jace. It appears that has resolved. Jace taken care of for now. And I believe Darin's probably just going to have to pass here.
That's it. No good attacks here, so Alex has gotten through that part of the game. Draws his card for the turn. I think he does still have some tops hiding out. I think he draws a Spell Pierce, and this might be a Jace the Mind Sculptor right here, and it is.
There it is. So, Darin looks like he can't answer that. Darin's setting himself up, though, for a end step Feast and Famine. He's going to have to fetch a white source.
Well, I don't know if he has any more in his deck. 4 Tundras. Looking at his deck list right now.
He got 1 Plains.
Not with the Polluted Delta.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. He does need something. Yeah, no other.
If that is a Sword of Feast and Famine, he's not going to be able to search for what he wants to search for. That's interesting. It may have been a slight error.
He may have been thinking the same thing as me, not looking at the. Oh no, it's finding an island. It is a Sword of Feast and Famine. It's not gonna come down well off of the Stoneforge Mystic now.
Okay.
It's one of those things where you look at a fetch line and go, yeah, this can get any of my duels.
Yeah.
And you forget they're all on the table already. So, just got the shuffle effect there and the island. But now, Darin in some trouble. He did draw Spell Pierce. I can't figure out what that other card is.
There's a Spell Pierce, a Disenchant, a mystery card.
Disenchant. The mystery card, I believe, is Sword of Feast and Famine. I'm
okay.
almost positive it's Sword of Feast and Famine. But, I guess I could be wrong. I think the front card is Sword of Feast and Famine. No, I don't know. It's tough to tell. He's got some foils. look a little. They catch the light differently. It's tough to tell the color. I thought I saw a Sword of Feast and Famine in there though. Either way, no play from Darin. Passes back to Alex, who has all the lands, all the angels, all the planeswalkers.
I'm looking to start to take control here. We see another brainstorm here from Jace. Really, really digging his feet in here, starting to take over control of this game. Another flooded strand to clear. We see a counterbalance masquerading as a land.
Yeah, hanging out with the lands there, and
that's the other
Darin,
card.
that was I thought I saw a click, and that's what confused me because I had also thought I saw Sword of Peace and Famine. So I don't know what it was. It must have been the disenchant that I thought was Sword of Peace and Famine. That doesn't make much sense, but maybe at an angle, this kind of looked artifacty. So Vendilion click.
He targets himself, puts the Spell Pierce on the bottom, draws a counter spell, and he's going to attempt to counter this counterbalance, which is pretty important. This is the way that Darin ended up losing the last game, and we are going to see a Spell Pierce here, taking care of the counter spell. So balance is in play. He's assembling pretty close to a lock here. He's got the soft lock of counterbalance, but since he's Divining Top,
The Soul Bond.
yeah, he does have the combo, as it were. There's the Sword of Feast and Famine actually drawn that turn.
Okay.
He also has Jace the Mind Sculptor, which he is brainstorming with every turn, but can target Darin and start Fate Sealing him. So Darin does not have much of a window to get things done with here. A Sword of Feast and Famine giving +2/+2 does give him a way to get through Angels. He starts trading off with them, and then his other guys can actually start getting through.
Sure. Yeah, Alex is not out of the woods yet despite his board position. His opponent actually has technically 10 power on the board if you count the Angel, and 12 if you count the Mistress Factory. So with just a defense of 2 Angels for Alex.
Block there, 2.
I mean, Darin could... Okay, so Darin's going to go ahead and activate the Stoneforge Mystic, putting a sort of Feast and Famine onto the battlefield. That can't be countered. And he can... equip the Geist or the Click. Gonna go with the Geist. I like that.
Swinging here.
He's gonna swing. He's thinking here.
We
Okay,
got our Angel
that's
here.
his attacker. Gets an Angel. His other attacker. So Alex has to block here.
This is lethal attack, so blocking does have to be done.
He can take out the Geist and take 4. Which makes me also wonder, maybe attacking with the Click might have been right, even if it was a suicide.
Yeah, I mean, suicide
just to get
4 damage through.
Yeah, almost like he has to block a certain way,
Well, if he does attack with the Glick, Alex's blocks are likely just going to be Angel Token on Geist, Angel Token on Vanillion Click, take 4, get on to 3.
Yeah.
The Angel and the Geist are... The Angel and the Geist and the Vanillion Click are gone. Then it's just Stoneforge and Factory versus a 4/4, which isn't much better.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference there. So this is tough.
It's a tough decision. Can I afford to go down to 3? He has to block Geist. I think there's no question about that. The question is, am I going to double block it? Am I going to single block it? Am I going to block each guy? What's in his hand? What does he put back with Jace? All that stuff is tough. You see just a block here, so he's going to go down to 3.
Trade 1 Angel for the Geist. Gonna get hit with the other Angel, so at a fairly precarious 3 life, especially if Darin is able to deal with the lone Angel there somehow.
Something also to keep
Click is lethal. Yeah.
Something also to keep in mind is that Alex has 2 fetch lands in play, a Scalding Tarn and a Flooded Strand, and most of the time the life on those don't matter, but he's getting such a life total now that they definitely do.
Yeah. What he wouldn't give for a Sphinx's Revelation. Best card in Legacy.
Boy, I don't know if we're going to make it that card over here. So we see an island hit play. We're going to see Jace Fate Seal. Okay. A little bit surprised by that. I mean, that just signifies to me that Alex does have something that he's happy with in his hand or on the top of his deck from Sensei's Divining Top. Because right now, he is facing down a lethal attack next turn.
Yeah, that Mystic picks up a sword and click Mystic, and even if he wants, Mishra's Factory can all come over and play. But Alex clearly has some other plan in mind because.
Yeah, and this reeks of Terminus.
Yeah. Apparently, an entreat on top of the library if the.
So we see
the information we're getting is correct.
We see a disenchant targeting either Sensei's Divine Top or Counterbalance, obviously. We're going to see a spin here. I would like to reveal Counterbalance, if you don't mind. Take care of that. Spin and treat for 2. Okay. So he is walking him into something terrible here, which he's going to respin top. He is going to draw a card with Sensei's Divine Top and reveal Entreat the Angels. And this looks like he's going to go down to 1. Okay.
Wow.
He's going to go down to 1 and he's going to make 1, 2, he's going to make 5 Angels, and that's just a lethal attack next turn. And if I remember correctly, and you correct me if I'm wrong, he did Fate Seal Darin last turn, right?
He did.
Yeah, so he knows exactly what card is coming, and that's a concession.
Darin knows it as well, so.
Very, very well played game by Alex.
Tight match. That was, I mean, we only saw the third game, and it got real tight at the end there.
Huh?